Brandon is probably seeing and hearing Charles in his head going, oh my God, I'm Charles 2.0. She could kill me.
Yeah.
I can't even, what could she do to my children? I cannot imagine. The nexus here has to be Melanie to some degree to feed them information and participate somehow. I'm worried that it won't be strong enough for Lori, and the person they should be really going for is Melanie. This is just a guess, but mark your calendars. I think if they do charge her, they're going to charge her as an accessory.
Hey guys, welcome to the Jury Duty Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Lindsay. That is my co-host bestie, Kimberly. Kimberly, how are you, dear?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
Good. What's on your shirt?
Oh, it's the Gangster Golden Girls.
I love it.
As only the Golden Girls could be. Gangster. It was that or my Michael Myers No Lives Matter t-shirt, but I didn't know how the internet was going to deal with that.
Internet doesn't like stuff like that usually.
Tough.
Well,
Michael Myers doesn't discriminate.
He does not discriminate. Well, hey, if you guys are new here, welcome, welcome. You may have found us from our new podcast bestie, Lawyer Lee.
She doesn't know she's our bestie yet, but she'll get there.
She's a part of the crew.
Also, happy belated birthday, Lawyer Lee. It was her birthday this week.
Yes, it was her birthday, and we just love her and appreciate her so much. So if you're new here, welcome. If you are, as I've been saying, a repeat customer of ours, welcome back. We're happy you're here. So a gal in the news lately, her name is, I don't know if you've heard this name before, Lori Vallow. Daybell. Does that ring a bell?
If it doesn't, I'm curious to know where you live.
And how you found us.
And which rock it is, because I'd like to be your neighbor.
Yes, exactly. So she is yet again a convicted felon. That's
shocker.
That's number 4 or 5? 6?
4.
JJ,
okay. Tylee, Tammy, Charles.
Okay. All right. So, and we're going for number 5 here pretty soon.
5 and final, that hopefully.
Yeah, let's hope so. So I feel like a lot of people have been a little confused about timelines because these cases have been tried out of the timeline, right?
Right. They're not being charged in the order of the crimes per se. They've been charged in the order of severity, is what I would say.
Right. So from what I understand, Idaho got to Lori first because of the kids. Everyone was worried about where the kids were, what happened to the kids. If you don't know what I'm talking about or what happened to these kids, please go look at a Dateline or something. There's no too long didn't read on that. So go do some homework, put us on pause, and come right back. Okay. What we're going to do is kind of go through a little bit of a timeline so you can see where the upcoming case that she is about to be tried on fits in our timeline. So there is a gentleman named Brandon Boudreaux who was married to Lori Vallow Daybell's niece, Melanie. Okay.
So I have a graphic family tree that I will pop up on the screen. It'll cover our beautiful faces, but also as we go, it's a lot of dates and a lot of stuff. I'll pop up some timeline stuff, so palette cleanser, but also for you visual people that work better seeing the information. So
it's getting real Adelson up in here. You know what I mean?
It is.
There's a lot of players. There's a lot of names and dates and all the things.
Yes.
So, okay. So let's get started, shall we? All right. So let's start late 2018. There's a Preparing the People conference. Side note, Kimberly, and to whoever's listening, I had a family member that used to attend these Preparing the People conferences. If you guys would like a podcast on that, shoot us a message, because I have been around these individuals before. They're not all like Lori Vallow Daybell. Some of them are very normal, nice people. But if you want that in a separate podcast, let us know. Anywho, Chad Daybell goes to speak at a Preparing the People conference. Lori had been reading his books before that conference, was very interested in this near-death experience, death experiences, those kinds of things. Super excited to meet him. They met, flirtation started, communication started. That takes us into 2019, okay? So February 2019, we're going to fast forward to there. Charles goes to the police and says, my wife is saying she's going to kill me. She's saying that she's going to help God with the second coming. I am concerned. She takes care of my children. You guys, probably most of you have seen the police video. It's disturbing, upsetting. It's so sad, especially knowing what's coming in this timeline. Let's fast forward again to July 11th, 2019. At this point in time, Charles and Lori have separated. He has served her, or at least tried to serve her, with divorce papers at that point. Charles shows up to where Lori is living in Arizona. As the state said, gets ambushed when going to pick up JJ to take him to school that morning. Alex Cox shoots him. He dies. They put together this whole self-defense claim. Well, as of, I don't know, when was that trial ended?
It ended last week?
Yes.
Like last week.
Something like that. She was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder. So everyone feels like she had a hand in that. She says that that was the beginning of a lot of family tragedies. I hate that word now.
I'm beginning to really hate the words family tragedy.
Yeah. If you have not seen her post-conviction interviews, give those a watch too. Those are very interesting. July 11th comes, Charles is killed, and Lori packs up her kids and moves up to Rexburg, Idaho. Okay, so we've gone from July to September. We were in Arizona. Now we're in Rexburg, Idaho. You with me?
August 31st, she started that.
She started her Oregon Trail up.
And Melani, Brandon's wife, went with her.
Yes. So we're going to give a little context to that in just a second. So on September 8th, 2019... Okay, so you with me? We started in late 2018. We are now
We just
September
flashed forward.
8th, 2019, okay? We have Lori, Tylee, JJ, and Alex in a picture at Yellowstone National Park. It's kind of a picture that's been seen by everyone, right?
It's the last known photograph of both kids alive.
Right, with everyone in the same photograph. The next day, September the 9th, Alex Cox's cell phone showed he spent 2 hours on Chad's property. Daybell texted about raccoon. Chad writes this really long, out of character
soliloquy.
Out of character text to Tammy that's like, wow, what a morning. I shot this raccoon and buried him in the yard. And she's like, okay. You know. Cool story, bro. Yeah. But without saying it, we all kind of know what
he was doing.
What that was all about.
The next day, Lori and Melani go to Kansas City.
Tylee was not seen after September 8th in that picture.
Nope, but Lori sure did use her phone while they were in Kansas City.
Tylee's phone.
Yep.
September 22nd was the last confirmed sighting of JJ by Melanie Gibb. There was a picture of him in his red pajamas. September 23rd, 2019, JJ's school called because he did not show up for school. And Lori said, I'm homeschooling him from now on. And that same day, Alex Cox's phone dings in Chad Daybell's backyard again.
Yep.
So that is September 23rd. And I'm going to take us into October 2nd, which is what, like, I don't know.
Like 10 days later.
Yeah, 10
we're,
days
we're
later.
not only jumping ahead in time, we're going back to Gilbert, Arizona.
Yes. So we were in Rexburg. Now we're back in the good state of Arizona. So Brandon Boudreaux on October 2nd, 2019 is shot at by what later would be what's the word I'm looking for?
Not confirmed, but pretty much summed up to be.
Yeah, it's been determined. Can we use that
There you
word
go.
in here?
It's been determined.
It's been determined that it was Alex Cox, and also it was confirmed Alex and Lori were in constant communication while Brandon was going through all this. So
phone records also show Alex was looking for his house online.
Yeah, so that takes us to Brandon. So let's talk about this. We were in late 2018. We go to February 2019 when all this started. Charles dies July 11th.
In July. Yep.
Tylee last seen September 8th. JJ last seen September 22nd. Brandon shot at October 2nd.
Tammy shot at October 9th.
Tammy shot at October 9th. Tammy dies October 19th. Tammy is exhumed December 11th. Alex dies December the 12th.
Of natural causes.
Blood clot.
I'm going to leave that there.
You guys decide what that is about. Anyway, okay. So what we're going to do now that you guys know, like, how fast all these things happen. Okay, Kimberly, I have a question really quick before we... So I have a question. I'm going to ask Kimberly this question. We're going to bounce back to Brandon. Okay?
Yes. Because this is about Brandon.
This is about Brandon. And this not only is for Kimberly, but just whoever's watching this, answer in the comments. If you are in this family and everyone around you is like dying, and before Lori got caught, and the trial came out, they were going to plan on killing Adam and Zach. Did they not think someone was going to be like,
this is weird.
What's going on?
Clearly not.
Clearly not. I mean, it's a family tragedy, Kimberly. It's just a family tragedy.
We'll never understand it.
I'll never understand it.
No.
I'll never understand it. But, okay. So now that you guys know kind of where Brandon falls in said timeline, let's go back to Brandon. Kimberly's going to talk a little bit about what was going on in his life at that time.
Yes. So to understand why Brandon is important to this case, you need to understand who he is. So Melanice, who that's what we keep calling her, because there's Melanie Gibb, who's felony Melanie. We got Melanice, who's Lori's niece. I'll pop the family tree up again. Just pretend it's there now. Melanie is Lori and Adam and Alex's niece. Lori and Adam had an older sister. The first child born to their parents was named Stacy. And Stacy is Melanie's mom. Now, Stacy died in the late 90s when Melanie was only 9. So she spent a lot of time with Janice and Barry, Lori's parents, and Lori. So that's why we call her Melanice, to keep them straight. So Melanie marries Brandon Boudreaux in 2008. They have 4 kids. And then in 2018, when she starts becoming sort of indoctrinated into this Lori Chad cult, she started showing some erratic signs of religious she became a lot more zealous. And she, according to Brandon, was not very religious when they got married. So in the end of 2018, like Lindsay said, we're talking the fall of 2018, Melanie begins attending meetings not sponsored by the LDS Church with Lori and Melanie Gibb. She also became super focused on the world ending, and that made Brandon very uncomfortable and very uneasy. And
She's
Melanie
kind of,
also.
sorry, I didn't mean to
Go ahead.
interrupt, but I was just going to say she's kind of going along the extreme
Yeah.
religious route.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
seems like all of a sudden.
Allegedly, she told Brandon that she received a revelation from God that she wasn't safe with him and was trying to use this in their subsequent divorce proceedings so that she could have custody or visitation of their kids. And then flash forward December 25th, Christmas 2018, Brandon has said that that was the last time he spent time with the whole family. Charles was still alive, but everything felt weird. People felt very estranged. Melanie Gibb was there, which was weird. Um, and then we get into 2019. Charles and Lori are having marital problems. You know that he's calling the cops, like, my wife has lost her nuggets. I'm worried about her. He also, in addition to trying to talk to Adam, was texting Brandon in January 2019 and sort of lamenting, like, Lori's having an affair and that she's accusing me of cheating on her. And Brandon was sort of in that, I guess, peripheral support system for Charles. We don't know a lot more about how close they were, but clearly close enough that Charles was comfortable texting him, like, dude, this is what's going on in my life.
I think Adam has said that they had done some like Charles and Brandon had done some business things in the
Okay.
past, and also if you guys watched Lori's trial on for
Mm-hmm.
Charles,
Yeah.
and some of the text messages between Adam and Charles when they were going to play basketball at the church, they said
Yeah.
Brandon might be there, and they were all going to
Okay.
talk. So
Okay. So
continue.
Charles and Brandon developed, I mean, Charles was married to his wife's aunt. Of course, they would have some type of relationship. But in a matter of 3 to 4 months, Brandon says that Melanie became off to left field religiously. Flash forward, June of 2019. So now we're before Charles has been shot. Nobody has died yet. Melanie suddenly and out of nowhere, according to Brandon, demands that they get a divorce. And Brandon blames this cult like association with Lori for sort of moving that along. He said he was blindsided. Important to note, divorce was not final at any point before these events start happening. They were still legally married. So I don't know if anyone's watched it. I'll have to go find it somewhere deep on the internet. But later on, in November, when they're searching for JJ and all of that starts unraveling, in Melanie's Rexburg apartment, they found all kinds of Brandon's IDs, and it was a little weird. In any case, in July 2019, so I don't know what day this is. I'm going to have to find it. I don't know if it's before or after Charles was shot, but Lori had a casting to rid Brandon of his dark, evil spirits. And Lori apparently told her niece Melanie that her husband Brandon was part of Hitler's group and was very highly dark and was a big danger to her. So we've got Melanie's paranoia now in July 2019, right as these things start happening, at a full tilt. Full tilt. And then, of course, July 11th, we know Alex shoots Charles, and that they all very quickly decide they're going to pick up and move on. So, as Lindsay was saying before, August 31st into 31st, August 31st into September, Lori, Tylee, JJ, Alex, and Melanie go from point A to Rexburg, Idaho. They all live in the same apartment complex, as most of you may know. So September 10th to 12th, now this is after the last day Tylee's allegedly been seen alive, Lori and Melanie fly to Kansas City. Don't know why. IP addresses ping Tylee's phone being there. There's no record of her being there, of course. Melanie pays for the hotel room. And then October 2nd, Brandon Boudreaux is narrowly missed and shot at out front of his brand new home because he and Melanie had just recently freshly separated. Now we know that the Jeep that he identified as the vehicle this person was shooting from was registered to Charles, who has now been deceased for about 2 months, 3 months. We know all of these very obvious things about Alex, his phone records, guns, all of those fun things. Okay. At this point, Melani is all the way over in Idaho. Brandon is in Arizona, and he tells the police that he literally just moved in within days of this happening. And of the 4 or 5 people that knew his address, only one of them would have any motivation to want him dead, and that was his wife, Melani. She was the only person within reason that he could imagine would, be involved in this. And of course, he recognizes Alex at a distance. He recognizes the Jeep is familiar, and he was right. So, what we know about Melani and Brandon is that the divorce, as quickly as it happened, was quickly off the rocker. Like, this went from 0 to 60 very quickly. While all of this is happening, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, in the intervening time between this powder keg, kids go missing or found dead. Charles is shot. Tammy dies. Alex dies. It's kind of under the radar, like, oh, someone tried to shoot at Brandon too in the middle of all of this. And he's the only living victim that can testify. So it's going to be interesting, but important to know why Lori is involved in this. The only motive she would have to want him not to be alive is for money. Remember, they weren't officially divorced, even though they very quickly got divorced because she married Ian Pulowski in November, December. So she's got his paperwork, his passports, his IDs in her Rexburg apartment. She's still married to him, so she could get insurance money. And we know that's a big theme of the Lori Vallow, Daybell, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt saga. And in 2020, in February, he filed court papers saying that he thinks the attempt on his life was motivated by insurance money. So what we think happened is, under Lori's influence and guidance, because Lori knows how to game the Social Security system, she knows how to game all of the government assistance she can get from her deceased husband's benefits for her children and life insurance, as we know, more than likely said, all right, Melani, here's how we can take care of all these problems at one time. Win, win, win. And she'd been talking about how Melani would financially support them if need be. How could she do that if she had no money? Let's kill her husband. So we don't know what's going on with Melani yet. That's a big open-ended question mark as far as what's going to happen to her. But the conspiracy for Lori is obviously that she was, similarly to Charles, involved peripherally of making this plan happen. And it finally, for once, failed. So Melani also found herself in a lot of legal trouble from 2019 to current day, especially involving Brandon. She was charged with computer tampering by Arizona police in October 2023 by using a $12,000 copy of a check to Brandon's business account for an exhibit at their custody hearing. But she was supposed to remove her name from bank accounts well in advance of this. She had like 2-3 months to do it. In 2019, after they sold their house and split everything up, she did not do that. And she also logged into Brandon's accounts in 2020 to get copies of checks. And her excuse was, it's not her fault. Brandon was dumb and didn't change his passwords, rather than taking responsibility for doing that. But she was also involved with police trying to take her children from Brandon's parents while they were visiting, and refused to leave their house. They had to call the police on her, have her forcibly removed. She was charged and convicted of criminal trespassing with a domestic violence enhancement, and is on probation. I don't know if she is anymore, but was as of December 2020. Like, their divorce, while all the world is unraveling, people are dying. In the background, here's Melani and Brandon just having a Jerry Springer showdown after this attempt on his life, which he is convinced, and so am I, was a result of this redonkulous family tree, the branches of which poor Brandon has like hit on his way down and out of it. So that was a lot, but that's why you need to care about Brandon Boudreaux, because he is the only living victim, the last one to get justice, that can talk about what happened to him. And we're going to probably get so much information here. I'm morbidly curious about all the things we don't know yet that we're going to hear in court.
Can you?
Because they have to prove conspiracy, and that has to involve Melani.
Yeah.
So,
can you imagine having to deal with her because you have children with her?
No.
Can you
Brandon is probably,
imagine?
seeing and hearing Charles in his head going, oh my God, I'm Charles 2.0. She could kill me.
Yeah.
I can't even, what could she do to my children? I cannot imagine what Brandon lives with mentally, emotionally. I feel for him. I cannot imagine it. But the internet is and so am I. Let's be real. I am the internet ablaze about what the hell about Melani. We might find out very soon because she's going to trial for conspiracy to commit murder or conspiracy to attempt to commit murder. What, in June or the end of May this month?
Yeah, jury selection starts at the end of May.
Soon. Here we go.
So, Arizona maybe doing kind of like a Georgia Cappleman. You know what I'm saying?
One at a time. Yeah.
One at a time. See how Lori pans out with this and go from there. We don't know. Obviously,
I'm worried about this one though.
About
I
her
won't
not getting
lie.
convicted.
I'm worried about this because if you watched her trial for Charles, there were some jurors that were like, but I don't see the actual conspiracy. And then it was the last minute, those few text messages that reminded them like, okay, no, this couldn't be anything but this. We don't know half the evidence they have for the Brandon case because not much has been released about it. And the nexus here has to be Melani to some degree to feed them information and participate somehow. There's so much we don't know. And what evidence we don't know might be there. I'm worried that it won't be strong enough for Lori, and the person they should be really going for is Melani. But no charges yet. It's making me a tiny bit nervous.
Well, I think what got the state to a conspiracy charge for Lori with Charles was the text messages. Because
Right.
just on the surface, they're like, we have no reason to think that this wasn't, even though the story doesn't make sense. But once you start digging a little deeper, and then also these Idaho charges came through. Anyway.
So I know I'm holding my breath because this big mystery, Melani, no Melani, immunity, no immunity. She's a pretty big piece of this because he was married to her. So.
Well, they have to have some sort of, for a lack of a better term, smoking gun to put her in the middle of all this because those are pretty serious charges,
But my thought then is if they have such really good bona fide evidence, why haven't they charged her? Melani? Why wait? Yeah.
I don't know. Why not charge Chad?
Right. And I understand why not Chad. Chad probably had the weakest link in the Charles case and the Brandon case. Like, Lori didn't need Chad to probably have committed those crimes on her own anyway. Because she was gaming the system, Social Security and insurance-wise, and scheming with or without him. She wasn't with him when Joe Ryan died. She wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, this started a little bit sooner than that. It's like she realized, oh, look at the benefits I can get if this husband I don't care for much or this person I don't care for much just goes away. I don't know that they could make a strong case about Chad because Chad didn't know Brandon. Chad didn't know Charles. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I'm interested to see the evidence.
Right.
And also how Melani comes into play.
I'm dying to know that.
I want you guys in the comment section to tell us what Melani's role is in this.
Yeah.
Where do you think she falls? I mean, do you think she's going to have charges coming her way? Do you think she was brainwashed and just kind of assisting in this? Like, what are your thoughts?
I'm Googling something really quick because I want to see.
Chili chicken enchiladas.
So what I'm thinking is, if I'm going to wager a guess, this is just a guess, but mark your calendars. I think if they do charge her,
Melani,
they're gonna charge her as an accessory.
Yeah.
Arizona has accessory stipulations, and as I've pulled up on Google, it's called an accomplice. Helps assist in the commission, whether before or after can involve planning, providing information, helping after the fact by covering up, aiding a perpetrator. I think they're going to nab her on accessory if they don't go for her with full conspiracy.
Does that come with jail time?
Of course it does. I mean, conspiracy is a class 1 felony, so I can't imagine. Most states and most criminal codes, what I do know is that they will charge accessory as a felony offense. So it comes with jail time unless she wants to start singing like a bird. So, yeah. An erratic timeline. Sorry, guys. There's really no clean way to go from A to B. You got to stop, and it's like the Marvel universe. Where do the TV shows fit with the movie?
I know.
Trust me, we know.
Yeah, where are we in this universe? What? Yeah. What?
So after, what I'll do, guys, is after this recording is done, I will type out and make a graphic that you can pause or play through. I don't want to make a 45-minute video just for one. So you pause the screen. Okay, pause the video. And I'll put a bulleted timeline just with all the high points so you guys get why this was so erratic and don't yell at us for being all over the place because this is all over the place.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? Is like we wanted you to see where Brandon was in this timeline because Lori and Chad were not getting tried according to timeline, right? And so Brandon is kind of in the middle, but then Brandon himself has his own timeline of things that were happening to him. Bless you, Brandon. Yeah. We will be thinking about you.
Yes, and it was important to understand where he fits in to begin with. Like, why is this random person? He's not random. There's a lot going on in the background there with him and Melanie's, and sorry, the hiccups. And there was a pretty big incentive for him to be included in the, he's dark and we don't like him, let's get rid of him group. So guys, he was kind of like one of their last ditch efforts to find some dollar signs, squeeze blood out of a rock somewhere. And I am grateful one more person did not have to lose their life.
Guys, can you even imagine being Brandon?
No. Brandon. Adam might. Maybe.
Yeah. Oh.
We'll have to ask Adam about Brandon. This blows my mind, and not a lot does, but here we are.
Well, guys, we don't want to jamble on too much longer about this. Good luck with this timeline that we've given you. Hopefully this all makes sense. If you've been following this case, you're probably like, yeah, I got it.
But and if you're not, you're like, these women do not know what a timeline looks like and how to...
You're like, what's happening? What lifetime am I in?
I'm sorry.
Is there a portal?
But pause this video after we wrap it up and say goodbye. I'll put a timeline up and you can pause and look at it. I'm going to do my best.
You're going to do great. Okay, guys. Like, share, subscribe if you want. Hang out with us on our socials. We would love to have you. We have a goal to get to 500 subs in May.
And we're almost there.
We're so glad you guys are here. Hopefully all of this podcast made sense. This case means a lot to us because, as you know, our friends are involved in this. So we want to do justice. Yes, by them. We got justice for Charles, Tylee, JJ, Tammy, justice if you want to call it justice.
We got some type of
resolution. Right?
Resolution. Thank you, Nikki Schmidt, for that wonderful way. We love that. Nikki Schmidt is Gabby Petito's mom. Wonderful, wonderful woman. And she says it's not justice because we'll never feel like we got justice, but we got a resolution.
So justice is coming, or resolution is coming for Brandon. Kimberly, show our friends out.
Please make good choices because we don't want to talk about you on the internet and you're our friend. So we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.